almost its own story in and of itself. So, yeah, this is what we're going to do today. We're going to do Sinbad's second voyage. Now, at the moment I'm going live on Facebook and live on YouTube. So the first thing I want to do is to address my students, and I think this is important too. So if you're an ex-Room 14 member or a current Room 14 member, what we're going to do is when we do this sort of stuff over the next few weeks, we're going to start with the Year 5 haka. Okay, remember those students that are currently in my class this year, I told you we're going to use it as a mantra. And if you're an ex-Room 14 member, you know that the Room 14 haka basically talks about unity and togetherness and being a whānau and things like that. And that's why we want to do this, to try and keep up our whānau mentality, even though we're so far away from each other. So, karawhiua, after me, I te rima o ngā tau. Tu tahi tātou, he hapori tātou, kei a tātou ngā uara, o te kura hauraki, me te whakau te, mahi ngā tahi hei whānau, whakatū tuki I o tātou whainga, kei a tātou tahi, he kaha tātou hi. Cool. So what we're going to do is we'll get into it now. So, without any further ado, the adventures of Sinbad the Sailor, the second voyage. I thought that I had come home from Baghdad to live there forever. I was very happy in my beautiful house. I had friends and servants, and everything that riches could bring. But the wish to see more countries and cities and to buy and sell in faraway places grew stronger and stronger. At last I filled very many boxes with all the best goods that one could find in Baghdad, and I sailed with other merchants on a beautiful new ship. We had a good voyage, sailing from place to place and from island to island, always going towards the south and east. After a long time, we came to a beautiful island. It was full of green trees and beautiful fruit and flowers and rivers of good clean water. But there were no people to be seen, no people at all. Some of the seamen went to get clean water, and some merchants wanted to walk about on land. I went with them onto the island. The flowers were really beautiful. I went through the trees to look at some very big flowers and of great beauty, and I think that the smell of those flowers made me fall asleep. When I woke up, I was alone. There was no seaman, no other people to be seen. "What a fool am I cried. "Why did I come away from my beautiful home in Baghdad? Here I am again, alone in a land without people." But then I thought, I am in the hands of Allah, and it is foolish to cry out and do nothing. By hard work, I got to the top of a tree, and I looked around me. Far out over the sea, I saw a ship sailing away from the island. On the island itself, I saw nothing but trees, trees, and trees. I looked and looked. There was one thing, one big thing far away that was not green. It was white, like a great round dome on top of a house. I walked towards it. Many hours I walked. At last I came to it in the evening. It was an enormous egg. If it is a dome, I thought, where is the house? Where is the door? As I looked at it, something shut out the light of the sun. This is like night, I thought, and I looked up. What I saw was an enormous bird. Then I remembered the stories that seamen told about a great bird called a roc or a rook. Rocks are so enormous, the seamen said, that they give elephants to their young to eat. So this, I thought, is a roc's egg, and a roc has come to sit on it. The great bird did sit on the egg, and it went to sleep there. Where has it come from, I asked myself. Where will it go? It may go to a place where there are men, and that would be better than this place where there are no people. I took the turban from my head, and I put it round my body and round the roc's leg, which was like a tree, and then I waited. When morning came, the rock took me up, up, up into the sky. I did not know that it was there. I did not know that I was there, and it took me a long, long way over the seas and islands and hills and valleys, and at last I came down in a great valley with hills like great walls on each side. The rock came down on an enormous snake. I was really afraid then, and I took off my turban from the rock's leg and ran to hide by a great stone. The rock took the snake up into the air, and then I looked around me. There were other enormous snakes in the valley, some of them as long as a ship, but they were all going into great holes in the ground. They sleep in these holes by day, I thought, and come out to get food and by night, so in the daytime I mustn't be afraid to look for a place to get out of the valley. But there was no place where I could get up. The sides of the valley were far too steep. I walked along it, and I saw that the valley floor was made of nothing but diamonds. They were very good diamonds, very big and beautiful, but I didn't want them. I wanted to get out of the valley. Night came, and I saw the great snakes beginning to come out of their holes. Fortunately, I was near a small cave. I ran to it and went inside. There was a big stone there, and I moved it into the mouth of the cave. The stone saved me. All night I heard noises of snakes. Round the cave, but they couldn't get to me. In the morning, I came out of the cave. I must find a way out of the valley, I thought, and I began to look again. There was a great thump on the ground near me, and I saw a very big bit of meat on the diamonds. It was red. There were knives that had cut it. Then I remembered the stories that I had heard about a valley of diamonds. Merchants can't go down into the valley to get the diamonds, so they cut up beasts and throw them down. The meat falls on the diamonds. The sun makes the meat sticky, and some of the diamonds, but not the biggest ones, stick to it. They have some very big birds in that country. The great birds come and they take big bits of meat and fly up with them to their young ones on the hills. The merchants make a big noise and the birds fly away. Then the merchants take the diamonds that have stuck to the meat. A bird brought me here, I said to myself, so a bird can take me away. I had a bag that carried food in, and I filled the bag with the biggest and best diamonds. Then I took off my turban again and put it around my body and round the biggest piece of meat. I waited there on my back with the meat on top of me. After a time, one of the great birds flew down. It took the bit of meat and flew up out of the valley with it and with me. At the top of the hill by the side of the valley, the birds young were waiting, but the merchants were waiting too. They made a great noise and the bird flew away. Then the merchants came to get the diamonds. I stood up, all red from the meat, and ill after my 2 journeys through the air. The merchants were afraid when they saw me, but I told them not to be afraid. I am a man, I said, like you, but the bird that brought your meat brought me up from the valley of diamonds. There are no diamonds on your meat, but I have brought diamonds with me. Each one is better than all the diamonds that your meat could bring, and I will gladly give you some of them. There's Sinbad, tied to the piece of meat, and there's the other merchants. After that, they came to me and spoke kindly to me. You are fortunate, they said. No other man has ever come back from that valley. I give thanks to Allah, I said. The merchants helped me to sell some of my diamonds and to find a ship to take me to my own country. At last I came home to Baghdad, a very rich man with the biggest of my diamonds and other goods. Now I'll stay at home here, I told myself, in my beautiful house with my riches. I'll be happy with my friends and I'll never go to sea again. But I did go to sea again. Tomorrow If Allah wills, I'll tell you about my third voyage. Okay, and that's the end of chapter 2. And these are the questions for chapter 2. So, what made Sinbad fall asleep on the island? What was the white thing like a dome? What was the great bird? What do diamonds stick to? How did Sinbad leave the valley? Why was he rich? Okay, if you want to listen to chapter 3, the third voyage, come back at the same time tomorrow. Ka kite, and I'll see you next time. Yeah, it's an egg. Bye-bye.